but she didn't think that such a form of growth was what the author of the article had in mind. She thought of Mr. J.L.B. Matukoni's business, Clokweng Road Speedy Motors, with which she shared premises, and wondered how it would fare against this rather unsettling test. Again, it was difficult to see any significant expansion. Mr. J.L.B. Matukoni still had his 2 apprentices, although one of them, Fanwell, was now a qualified mechanic. That might count as growth of a sort, she supposed, but it was probably cancelled out by reports that Charlie, the other young man employed in the garage, had by all accounts become rather worse at his job. Certainly there didn't seem to be any more customers than there'd been in the past. Indeed, Mr. J.L.B. Matukoni had complained only a few weeks previously that there seemed to be fewer and fewer cars being brought in for service. "People have to go to those big garages these days," he said. "They have to do that because their cars are full of computers, and ordinary mechanics don't have all the right wires and things for these clever cars. What can you do if you look at the engine and see that it is full of electric wiring and computer chips? Where's the carburetor? Where's the distributor? Where's the starter motor?" He had looked at Mma Ramotswe reproachfully, as if she had somehow mislaid these various parts. She sighed. "Everything is too complicated these days, Mr. J.L.B. Matukoni. Everything is made to be thrown away rather than fixed. It is all very wasteful." She warmed to her theme. "When I think of what we may do with in the past, it makes me very sad. If you found a hole in a sock, you darned it. We were taught how to do that at school. And if your collar frayed, then you had it turned. If the handle came off a cup, you glued it back on." "Yes," said Mr. J.L.B. Matukoni, "you never threw things away. Nowadays, if something goes wrong, you throw it out of the window, just like that." "And people, too," said Mma Ramotswe. "If you suddenly decide you don't like somebody, you throw them out of the window, too. That's what wives do to their husbands these days." Mr. J.L.B. Matukoni looked concerned. "Out of the window, Mma?" "Not really out of the window," said Mma Ramotswe. "I just use that as an expression, Ra. And it's not just wives who throw their husbands out of the window when they get bored with them. It's men, too. In fact, there are more wives thrown out of the window than men, I think." "Either way, it's not very good," said Mr. J.L.B. Matukoni. "Nobody should be thrown out of the window, Mma." They had lapsed into silence as they contemplated, in their individual ways, this decline in civility. Mma Ramotswe was not given to taking a gloomy view of things, but she felt nonetheless that there were respects in which she would find it very difficult to explain to her father, the late Obed Ramotswe, what had happened in the years since his death. It was true that Botswana had made great progress, and remained a country to be proud of, but still, there were changes that it was hard to see in a positive light. She imagined walking with him through their home village, Mochudi, and showing him the improvements, the numerous public water taps, the improved sewage system, the new businesses that had sprung up. But what would she say when they were passed by a group of schoolchildren, and not one of them greeted him, as was polite and customary for children to do when they passed an old man? How would she explain to him that nowadays many children did not greet strangers? She saw him wearing his old hat, the hat that he'd worn for year upon year, and was so familiar to her and so beloved.